What's up, Jack? Well, I just want to talk to you about something that you're probably already bored with, uh, especially on this channel. But here's the thing: I have yet another surprise, yet another pet peeve with PEDs right here. But this time around is more focused on the actual terminology that is being used. So here's the thing: I explicitly hate and I'm getting very annoyed when people keep using the good old-fashioned steroid as the keyword for everything that's wrong or whatever involving PEDs and substances in general. I'll tell you immediately why, but I just want to make like a short briefing before we dive into the discussion. And so that's number one. And number two is I also have the same type of allergic reaction when it comes to people saying, natural. I'm natural. He's natural. Is this guy natural or whatever? Now, let me tell you why. And both of these are actually connected, in my opinion. So, the idea is the following. Historically, at least in the past, half a century up to a century, if we just want to kind of narrow down the scope, and you don't want to go dive deep into the history of sports and athletics and even warfare, where blood doping existed since the dawn of time, but it was obviously done through other means with a completely different set of substances, principles, and methodology. Let's say if we look in our recent history, let's say the past 50 years or so, the first things that kind of appeared both on the market and also in people's awareness, they suddenly learned about these things existing, was the so-called steroid. Now, medically and from a pharmaceutical point of view, these drugs are just a class of drugs. Therefore, I have a big problem when people are just asking athletes or whatever, are you on steroids? Have you ever done steroids? Because, well, discarding the ones who really do steroids and they'll flat out lie to you, there's a whole different category of people who will say no, and they will actually be correct. Why? Not because they're not enhanced, but they're not enhanced with steroids. They're enhanced with a completely different set of substances that falls into various categories. We will not go there into the details. I just want you to be aware, in case you're not, I just want you to be aware that there are a lot of classes. Steroids are just one subset of let's say the general branding, which I refer to always as PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, or enhancement or enhancing, whatever. Asking people if they are on steroids is not correct, because you're giving them a backdoor for them to say yes, just in case they are dope as fuck, and it just happens that those substances don't fall into this category. Now, Why is this important? Because this actually brings us to the other topic that I briefly presented in the intro, which is people saying that they're natural or asking other people if they're natural. So the word natural, in my opinion, is subjected to the following problem. And actually, it's like a Pandora's box of different problems. First of all, again, there will be this category of people who will say that they are natural just because they kind of turn a blind eye, or they actually end up believing their own lies and stuff like that, and they choose to focus on the natural aspects of their performance, which is eating, sleeping, dedication, training, whatever, all that bullshit, and they feel like they're genetically gifted. Therefore, it doesn't matter what it goes into their body. They'll always attribute their success to the other things. So they kind of manage to convince themselves that the steroids or the PEDs do not make champions as all of the other ingredients. They just fail to mention or to even realize for themselves after one point that if it were the case, then they wouldn't need to take it. And it's mostly the same people who will tell you that with or without PEDs, they would still be champions. The PEDs just give you that final small edge that you need in order to be on par with the elite. I discussed about this in the past. I'll discuss about this in the future. I feel like I just want to brush over this in this video because I don't want to spend again the time explaining why that's flat out wrong. Now there's the other category of people who are a sort of a derivative of the first, but here's the difference. They make a very conscious decision to dive deep inside the etymology and the true meaning of the word natural. So they start asking themselves things like, well, let's put all of these substances on the table, whether it's literally or metaphorically. Let's lay them down and put them on a paper or whatever, and start taking them one by one. Let's start with the easy ones that are legal, and there's nothing wrong apparently about them and whatever. So very mild things like protein and amino acids and stuff like that. So protein, is protein natural? Well, sure it is natural, because it's just something you naturally find in foods. Therefore, this is just like a concentrated version, specifically produced for athletes who have superior needs for protein intake and stuff like that. So that's, and as you'll see, this is like the gateway mindset that goes into all of the other things, and will ultimately excuse everything and let it pass as natural. But here's the train of thought. So protein is natural. Amino acids, well, they have to be natural, because not only can you apply the same logic as for protein, but actually, constructively, protein is ultimately made up of amino acids. So yeah, it's just a variation of protein, right? Just selections of broken down ingredients of protein, as a lot of people might choose to see it. So they're natural. So now you can do the same with creatine, which is like an even more carefully selected subset of amino acids. Usually it's 3 of them that form the so-called creatine. Then you go into BCAAs. Well, you can discard the BC. The AA stands for amino acid. The fact that it's branch chain doesn't matter. Again, it's a subset. It's a certain arrangement of amino acids, so they are natural. So let us proceed further up the ladder. Now you go into something that's already leveling up. You go into peptides. Well, everyone knows that peptides, a lot of peptides, most peptides are, the usage of peptides. And when I say peptides, you should know which ones I'm talking about. Is frowned upon, and a lot of peptides are on a lot of lists for testing and whatever. But again, when it comes to you asking people who are using these things, what is peptides? What is a peptide? Well, actually, a peptide is the bridge point between the protein and the amino acid. In order to form the protein out of the amino acids, these amino acids, which are like the building blocks of the protein, which is the building block of blah blah blah, these amino acids need to form themselves into some chains, right? So these chains, these strands of certain sequences of amino acids, we call them peptides. And several peptides chained together, ultimately, just as a simplified version, they form they form the protein. So why? The final product is natural. The super small ingredients are natural. Why wouldn't something in between be natural? Of course it's natural. So peptides already pass as well as being natural. Why not? In the end, you're finding peptides in food. It's not the same peptides, nobody tells you that. But you're just looking at the name because it's in your advantage not to dive deep into the details. So they're natural, therefore you're natural. Let's see, Sarms. Well, Sarms, it's again, normally, it's still a class of substance that targets your androgen receptors. Therefore, you're made to respond to these things because it's selective androgen responder module. So you could argue that again they're natural just because they're targeting your natural response to androgen type substances, and therefore triggering sort of an overall anabolic response. So they're natural. Then you look at everything that's testosterone based. Testosterone, as far as we know, is a hormone produced by your own body. You're not doing anything but just coming up with more. Obviously, telling everyone that you're not taking more than just the average Joe on the street. You just happen to be super low because now you're over 30 or 40 or whatever, or 50, and nowadays the threshold is as low as 16, because everyone goes to the doctor and can get prescribed TRT. So you're just what's wrong with balancing something that your body unfortunately is lacking? What's wrong with providing your body with something that nature intended you to have? Is just that unfortunately, because of reasons happening and whatever, you no longer have the optimal dosage. So testosterone is the most natural thing on earth because like you have it inside of you. So why wouldn't it be natural? And steroids altogether are actually natural because your body produces steroids on a daily basis. A lot of fats and stuff like that are either derived from steroid type compounds or they are used to form steroid type compounds. Look at cholesterol, and I mean Google, if you will, cholesterol and see its relationship to the word steroid. You'll see. In the end, you're using. You can get over the counter prescription medicine based on all sorts of steroidal derivatives. And again, steroids are just a compound of substances naturally occurring in your body, so they're natural. What else? Insulin. Your own pancreas is developing the insulin, so I see nothing wrong with that. What about growth hormone? It's in the end, it's HGH, so it's human growth hormone. The fact that other people are taking other types of growth hormone that is not preceded by H is a different thing, but human growth hormone in general is, as the name suggests, something that helps all living organisms develop. So how would it not be natural? IGF, insulin growth factor, whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever, it's natural. It's something that's naturally occurring in your body. You have a very intricate relationship with your liver and stuff like that. So those are natural. And believe you me, you can pretty much take all compounds out there, and basically, as long as there's a shred, or I should say shard of carbon traces in it, it must be because it supports carbon-based life form, and we happen to be one such type of life form. So it's natural. After all, it's occurring in nature, even if it's something that's completely synthetic and synthetically produced in a lab. It's still in nature, right? We're still in nature. The sky is above. We're surrounded by buildings and trees and grasses underneath, so it's still produced in nature. Whether it's a chemical compound facility, whatever, I reason it's still natural. So there you go. Pretty much everything is natural. So now rolling back the tape and going back to the beginning, do you see why I have a very strong reaction to the words steroid and the word natural, both of them being leeways into finding loopholes around the actual definition as to excuse PD users from ever confessing on their usage, because that's what it is actually. They're smart people using terminology in their favor. So please do not ever ask people the simplistic question of are you using steroids or are you natural, because like I said and like I've demonstrated, hopefully that's a lazy question on your behalf to begin with. So obviously you you can't blame them for doing the same with their response. So if you're trying to get to the bottom of whatever answer you're trying to get from whoever you're trying to get, at least make sure you're first of all educated in terms of all of these things that we're discussing here, and the reality that's surrounding all sports and all sorts of performance enhancing techniques and blood doping and just biochemistry in general, and not to mention the whole thing together. You kind of have to be like a small biochemist, small whatever, just in terms of interest. I'm not saying you have to have degrees in whatever, but if you want to have an educated discussion about the topic, you can't just go around asking about stuff that you're reading online, or reading on the label of the things you're buying from your local gym, and just building like a bro science type of vocabulary and understanding of the biochemistry and physiological processes happening within. So yeah, be sure to educate yourself, because that's the only way to educate other people. Again, this type of rant and these types of videos are not at all meant to blame anyone for doing anything. It's just that I want to have a clear-cut understanding and kind of like a ground base upon which we should be, basing our discussions or building on our discussions upon, kind of like a you get the idea. We should have pretty much the same ground level to begin with, and not start from different understandings or misunderstandings of different phenomena. So that's pretty much what I wanted to address in this video, because like I already said, I had videos in the past about this subject, and I will have a lot of videos in the future about this subject. They're not meant to incriminate or provide like this sort of looking down on people's achievements and whatever. It's just meant to educate you whenever you're looking at something and therefore judging things and forming conclusions, because whenever you're seeing something just as a human being, as an individual, whether you agree with it or not, you are unwillingly judging it, estimating its value based on your past experience and education, and you're forming your own conclusions, which unfortunately can be wrong, very wrong, and the more they gather and stack each other on top of one another, the more it can create like this completely humongous false understanding of how things work in general. And it's at that point it's almost impossible to unlearn all of those things and to actually re-educate yourself, because you already know too much and too many things that are wrong. So guys, let me know what you thought about this video, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this or not. But most importantly, like I said, give me your opinion on this subject, whatever you want to discuss about. Like, hate, whatever, troll, share, subscribe. If you dislike, please show me that you really disliked it, so hit that dislike button twice, so that it really counts, if you know what I mean. And till next time, me, myself, and I will be
leaving you to a nice, happy
dinner, and make sure you eat your broccoli and rice and chicken breast. So
till next time, guys.
see ya.